So as you look at the political landscape in America now, you've got kind of the rise of the woke left, the more old school economic Bernie Sanders left. On the right, you've got this kind of national populism representing MAGA Donald Trump. How do you navigate that minefield?
I don't know. No, that's a good question. Well, I think that you and I grew up and I hope not, but what may prove to be kind of the unusual or the exception to the rule, in that classical conservatism in a political sense kind of came to fruition in the 80s and throughout the 90s. It wasn't perfect. I'm not saying there weren't mistakes made. But if you go prior to the 80s, conservatives were in the wilderness. And it might be that conservatism is something that is, I don't want to say odious, but is naturally not sought out by the people, which is sad because I think it is necessary for society to flourish. But it's still there in certain degrees, and I think what's lacking in particular is just character and leadership in the political class that people could gravitate toward. I don't know. I had a friend of mine say this the other day, Blake Fisher, we're mutual on each other's podcast. He's the homeless conservative, so it gives you a sense of we're in a similar camp. He would hone in on your question there. He made a comment about he's having a conversation with two girls that were like in their early 20s about politics, and at some point the conversation just dawned on him that all they've ever known, politically speaking, is the Trump era. Trump hasn't been there the whole time. Biden has, but that to them this is normal. And one of the great hopes I have is that I think we humans have a capacity that when you actually do see courage and character and leadership, it's infectious, especially at the right moment. Milton Friedman said of Ronald Reagan, he was the only president in his lifetime that didn't learn how to say what the people wanted to hear, but that the people finally wanted to hear what he had been saying for 4 decades. Now, there's some balance there because Reagan was also the great communicator, and he was really sharp at how to communicate. But I think the point there being, sometimes when the situation's dire enough, sometimes I think it's just human nature that you recognize this is what we've been missing. This is different than all of those who have come before us, or all the leaders we've seen before us. And I'm not trying to vest my hope in a leader, say, but kind of an individual who can hone in on a conservative message and has an abundance of character and leadership qualities, I think is so bizarre to us almost that we've kind of lost our muscle memory what that even feels like.